The night before my husband took me to prison, I stayed in a hotel. We had driven 14 hours from Utah to Dublin, California, which is just outside of Oakland. I remember laying there with him that night. It had been a long drive, and we just tried to find anywhere we could to stay. And I was holding his hand, and he said, "I don't know how you're going to get through this without me," which is so sweet, right? He laughs at himself. He's like, "Of course you would get through it." But I really feel so much strength from my husband and our marriage. And so I remember the next morning we went to a restaurant just to get something to eat. I was supposed to be at the prison, I think, by 1 o'clock, and it was like 11 in the morning, and I got really anxious. And I said, "Can you just take me to the prison? I just need to go." I had a 7-year prison sentence, and I walked into that prison. It was very unceremonious. Nobody, which I didn't necessarily expect a ceremony, but it was just like, "All right, let's go." And I gave him a hug, and off I was, and then he was gone. And I remember as soon as I walked in and they shut the door, I knew I had made the biggest mistake. How could I have given up the extra hour that I had with my husband? Everything felt different behind that door. This complete separation from my community, my children, myself. It was like I wasn't the same person. And prison is like this cinder block, and there's no color. I remember they took me back to an A&O cell, and I was so devastated I couldn't even think. All I could do was cry, and I would see my children's faces. I couldn't imagine how I was going to get through a week, a month, a year, none of it. And I had 7 years in front of me. It took me 3 days before I would even leave the cell. And when I finally left the cell, I went out to the day room and sat next to a girl named Bubbles. I don't even know Bubbles' name. Sweet Bubbles. I would sit there and go, I was so, so sad. And Bubbles would go, "It's okay, baby. Just keep breathing and the pain will go away." I'm so grateful for the women in prison who helped me get through that first week of my sentence.